Hey Joe, let me tell you about this book on anti-gravity I've been reading.
What about it?
I can't put it down.
Oh my God.
Thanks for joining MSU Tonight. I'm Joey Reynolds.
And I'm Joe Enoch.
Tonight, Edie will join us to interview Professor Bob Valentine in honor of this week's Veterans Day celebrations.
And then we will play a game of Newsflash with Corey.
If you're looking for more about how the racers are doing this week, Mike and Corey will be back to talk about sports.
But first, it's time for Hot Topics.
Having trouble in some of your classes? Don't worry, because Logan Rose is here to give you some helpful studying tips that, if applied, will boost those grades.
As the end of the semester draws closer, you might be thinking to yourself, man, I really need to bring up some of these grades. The solution to your problems? Studying. And I don't mean rushing through your notes 5 minutes before the exam. Going to the library and reviewing over what you learned earlier in the week, for even just an hour, always helps.
Studying has helped me because I feel more prepared and confident when I take exams.
Getting together a couple of buddies from your class and forming a study group can also be a super useful tool.
Definitely get together a group of people that you can study really hard with, like a group of your friends or just people in class. Don't put anything off until the last minute because cramming does nothing. So definitely take just a little bit of time every day and then you'll feel a lot better, yeah.
Flashcards, practice exams, some guy on YouTube, these are all great tools for studying. Also, don't forget that you can go straight to the source and talk to your professors during office hours. Taking advantage of all these tips can hopefully get you that grade you've been striving for. For MSU Tonight, I'm Logan Rose.
This Saturday, English 105 students and the American Red Cross are partnering up to provide Callaway County residents with free smoke detector tests and installations. For more information, call 270-519-5942.
Last Sunday, November 10th, Murray State students enrolled in Globalization held a photography exposition as part of their final projects for the class. The exposition was held in Callaway County Public Library from 2 to 4. Artwork is hung around the walls and guests were encouraged to walk around, look at the photographs, and listen to the students present their work. Students presented their work to all that were in attendance and answered all the questions that the guests had. The event was a success.
After 25 years, this Saturday's football game will be the last for Racer Band director John Fannin. Because of that, this weekend is going to be the first ever Racer Band reunion. It starts on Friday in Lovett Auditorium with a concert by the University Symphonic Band and Wind Ensemble. Then on Saturday, over 200 alumni will be joining the Racer Band on the field to play the fight song in 2001 at halftime. The concert starts at 7:30 p.m. and the game starts at noon.
In honor of Veterans Day yesterday, Murray State had many events around campus recognizing and honoring all those who have served. The events included a remembrance display set up on the quad, a hot dog meal in the Curris Center, a ceremony with a choral performance of the national anthem, keynote speaker Dr. Eric Fritz inside the Curris Center Theater, and ending the day by playing taps out in the quad to honor those who have given the ultimate sacrifice of serving our country. Alan Patterson, the coordinator for the Veterans Day festivities, explains to us how important it is to celebrate Veterans Day not only on campus, but throughout the community as well.
Veterans have sacrificed a lot of things to give us the freedoms that we currently have. For 100 years, we've celebrated Veterans Day, a celebration that we'd like to continue. So by bringing awareness to Murray State University, it brings us the opportunity to provide that chance to honor those who've served in the past, present, and those who will serve in the future.
Thank you again to all the veterans for serving our country.
Don't go anywhere. There's more to come on MSU Tonight.
Welcome back to MSU Tonight. I'm here with Professor Robert Valentine to talk about Veterans Day. So I was wondering, why is Veterans Day celebrated on November 11th?
That's a great story, Edie. fortunately, the undergraduate major in history is a big help here. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918 was when the armistice was signed in Europe, which ended the Great War, World War I, the war to end all wars. At least that's what it was designed for. So on that day, a year later, people celebrated the anniversary of the armistice as what was called Armistice Day, and it was called Armistice Day up until 1954, when, in order to honor veterans of Korea and World War II, there was a move afoot to call it Veterans Day. And as a matter of fact, not many people know this, it was Veterans Day until it was supposed to be called Uniform Service Day. That lasted from 71 to about 76 when President Ford changed it back to Veterans Day. And it's a time when we pay homage to the work of those who served in the military.
That's very interesting. What's the difference between the volunteer military and the draft or compulsory service military?
I'm familiar with the draft. I got a letter about that when I was about 21 years old. The draft is what's sometimes called universal service. Requires every able-bodied person of a certain age, and when the last time we had a draft, it was males. When every able-bodied male is obliged to present himself for military service, and the country will decide where they want you most. And it could be almost anything, not just the military, but any form of service. The volunteer army or Navy or the volunteer forces mean that you sign up, you want to do this. And our armed forces are such today that we can serve the defense purposes of the nation with the volunteer force.
Why is it important to observe Veterans Day?
Well, I wouldn't want to get into a debate about that, but those of us who served, I think, would agree especially that there are many people who deserve to be remembered for their service. There are many people who put their lives on the line. The first responders, police, firefighters, all kinds of people deserve to be noticed for the special sacrifice that they have made and are willing to make. But the military folks, whether they serve overseas or not, put themselves in a position where they have to go to a strange place, do strange things under strange circumstances, and they might not come home. And the stress that puts on them and their families probably means that it's not too much for a grateful nation to set aside one day to remember what that means.
Of course, yes. What was your role in the military?
I was a member of an elite force, which we called in those days the Remington Raiders, because the Remington Company made most of the typewriters for the Army. So I was a clerk typist. It wasn't a very dangerous job most of the time, but it was in a foreign country that was in a state of high military alert, so we had some exciting times. But no, I was a clerk. Most of the people who serve in the military are in logistical or support services. I was with 8th Army FASCOM in Busan, Korea.
How has your role in the military impacted your life today?
I don't know if my role, and it made me a better typist, so I can keyboard like anything. But I think my experience in the military taught me that to be organized means you can produce more. When you are a member of a team, you have to respect that team and work just as hard as anybody else. And it taught me that if I work hard and concentrate and focus on the task, I can do things I never thought I could do.
What is your role here at Murray State?
I'm a professor of mass communication. I teach in journalism and mass communication, especially in the advertising sequence there.
Would you say that your work in the military has helped you or impacted your role as an educator?
I think it has. If for nothing else, I'm aware of what it must feel like for college students who are about the same age that I was when I went into the service, to be doing something that the big picture is not given to you. There's a promise that tomorrow will be a better day. This is really worthwhile, but sometimes it's hard to see that. And it helps me appreciate their point of view and perhaps help them to make the kind of progress they need to make. Just as, well, if you want to call it survival, that's what we're all about.
Would you like to add anything else to the interview?
I don't think, except that it was very gratifying to see the way Murray State University responded to Veterans Day. Even for people like me who never felt very often that they were in danger, It's nice to see that people remember how much it means to be in a foreign place, perhaps afraid and far, far from family and friends, especially on holidays. You have your friends there too, but it's not the same as being at home with family.
No. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Edie.
Yeah. Coming up next, it's time for Newsflash. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Murray State Sports. I'm Corey Sharber.
And I'm Mike Hall. The Murray State men's basketball team kicked their season off with a victory over Southern University this past weekend. The Racers won 69-49 with KJ Williams posting a double-double and Tevin Brown leading the team in scoring with 17 points. Murray will play the Tennessee Volunteers tonight in Knoxville. The game will be on the SEC network.
The Murray State football team faces Austin Peay at Roy Stewart Stadium this Saturday as a part of the annual Battle of the Border. The Racers are looking to inch closer to a 500 record and spoil the Governor's chances of making the playoffs. The game starts at noon and will air on ESPN3.
The women's volleyball team will also host Austin Peay at Racer Arena tomorrow as a part of the Battle of the Border matchups. The Racers are looking to get back on track after defeating SEMO last weekend, but falling to UT Martin last weekend. The match starts at 6 and will air on ESPN+.
The women's basketball team fell to the Louisville Cardinals last week by a score of 76-40. Macy Turley led the Racers with 18 points, including 3 made three-pointers. Murray State plays Mississippi Valley tomorrow at 6.
Despite their season coming to a tough end last week in the OVC tournament, the women's soccer team capped off their season by earning multiple conference honors last week. Maya Watford was named the OVC Conference Player of the Year and named to the All-Tournament team. Abby Jones and Izzy Heckman were named to the OVC First Team, and Soraya Young and Lauren Payne were named to the OVC Newcomer Team.
That'll do it for this week's sports segment here on MSU Tonight. Thanks for watching, and feel free to check out the segment again on YouTube.
Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
That's all we have for tonight.
Thanks for watching, and tune in to MSU Tonight every Tuesday night at 5 on MSU TV 11 or visit us on our YouTube channel. Have a good night.
Drive safe.